guys, how you all doing? I hope you guys are enjoying all of the videos that I put up on Filipino Kali Educator. Again, they're my point of views, they're my opinions of the system of the Sinitertiawari Kali that I've been doing for several years. I've been getting a lot of feedback, and especially on the Karambit. And the Karambit, very unique tool used in self-defense. I got an email from a gentleman who was wondering how is the Karambit, especially using it in the sense of self-defense, utilized along with the footwork. So I want to make sure that I address that. And before I go into that visual there and showing you, please make sure that you also go on to Evade the Blade 55. That also gives you a little bit of more videos, more of my videos that I've done doing seminars in Washington, D.C., in Miami, in Brazil. So don't forget to subscribe to that, and you'll see a lot of what I'm doing. So one of the first things that we're going to start with now is how to use the footwork using the Karambit. My teacher always taught me that the best way not to get hit is not to be there. Okay? And especially if the person also has a blade or an impact weapon. So how do we do that without getting hit at the same time? Well, we use our knife defenses as that, counter defense. So we are more apt to protect ourselves rather than attack. My teacher used two words, protect and attack. And he put those words together, making the word protection. So protection. So I need to make sure I protect myself and attack simultaneously, not being in the center line of where my attacker is. So watch the following videos very carefully as I show you what footwork we use, especially using with the Karambit. Welcome back. Now what I'm going to show you is how the Karambit and the footwork is utilized at the same time so that I don't get hit, but I can make a counter defense. One of the first footworks that is based upon that forward and reverse triangle. When you're doing that forward and reverse triangle, which is this motion here, what I like to add in this motion is what we call an angle sweep. Okay? If the defense, my defensive position's here, the attacker is coming towards my center line, I've got to step back. Okay? I've got to draw back from this motion from here, let the attack come towards me, angle off, and then I've got to make my sweep. That way I literally let the attack, whether it's an impact weapon or the person himself or a blade coming at me, I've got to make sure that I'm completely out of the way. So you're going to see my footwork come back, off to the side, and I'm going to sweep this leg. Okay? All at the same time of using the Karambit. But let's take a look at that one more time. I step back. So if you notice, I'm stepping back at an angle. I'm not stepping back this way. One of the reasons why I don't want to do that is I don't want my left leg to be literally behind my right leg. Now it won't be able to propel me in the direction that I want to go, or if I need to change it. So it may look like that I'm stepping back, but I'm actually from here stepping at this slight angle, because I got to remember the attack's coming this way, whether it's a thrust, whether it's coming from this direction here, or it's coming from this direction here. So when I'm doing that, I'm stepping off this angle here. As I step back, my right foot meets my left, and you're going to notice what my hands do from here. My timing of my hands is going to be timed with the footwork that I have. And then I make my sweep. Okay? So let's take a look at it from another perspective. From my right side, from here, I propel backwards, reverse triangle, make my sweep. Alright? So basic movements is 1, 2, 3. The attack is coming towards me. I see the attack. Now remember, I could also do this whether I'm in a left lead or in a right lead. But for right now, start off with the right lead. Once I'm in this position, I see the attack coming towards me. 1, angle off 2, let the attack come by 3. I literally want to make a 90-degree angle or close to a 90-degree angle where the attack comes from, whether it's the blade, impact weapon, or the empty hand. And you'll see that as we make it an application. So right now it's basic drill. Okay? What is the drill? Footwork. 1, 2, 3, sweep from here. Once again, 1, 2, sweep. Let's take a look from the left side. Once I'm here, I see the attacker. From here, or the weapon, 1, 2. I'm coming off the angle, he's coming through here, and then I sweep. Okay? Once again, 1, 2, 3. Let's take a look from the rear. Once I'm in this position, defensive hand position, 1, 2, 3. Once again, angle from the right lead, 1, 2, 3. You can actually use this tactical footwork, again, with either lead. But for today's instructional tutorial video, I'm just going to show you from the right lead. The next time I'll go ahead and show you, what if you end up in a left lead? How does that work? It can work regardless of what lead you're in. In the Filipino martial arts, it's not what the best lead is to attack. It's the best lead that's going to protect you. And that can be in the left lead or the right lead, regardless of what you have in your right hand or your left hand. So, let's now take a look at some of the application. Welcome back. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do is take a look of application of how the tactical footwork using the Karambit is and how it's useful. Now, just for the sake of time, what I'm doing here is I'm only using the outside of this portion of the attacker. So I'm only going from that previous video, you see me go in this direction. Can I go in this direction? Yes, I could. But for this tutorial, let's just observe of how, when the strike ends up coming, what movements I use and what my targets are. Alright, so again, here's my Karambit, and what I'm doing here, from here, is I'm having it in my position, in this position here. And you're going to notice, in a previous video, if you have not seen it yet, take a look at it on the Karambit strikes, okay? And how my strikes are utilized in the sense of what I call tendon termination. Now, what you're going to see, one of my students, Kwame here, is going to be making a typical attack. Now, you're going to find, I've observed over 300 videos even on YouTube or CCTV, about what are the basic strikes the attacker is going to give you. Well, what I have seen, obviously, is the common number 1 strike is extremely common, the number 2 strike is very common, and then the number 5 strike is very common. Okay, so we'll take a look at just the number 1 strike and just the thrust, because it really doesn't matter. They're both coming from the same plane. What's more important is a term, again, protection. Protect and attack at the same time. So let's take a look at that footwork that we did. One of the first movements as I did was I stepped back. Once I step back, I'm going to make my triangle, my reverse triangle, and work off his side. In the video, the tendon termination, I only attack the tendons. Because the goal for me is, I want to go home. I don't want to kill the guy. Because if I end up killing the guy, then I have to go to court and I have to explain all of these fancy moves and all of these cuts, and I'm supposed to be the martial artist in control. So, I don't want to do any excessive force. I only want to do the damage necessary for me to go home. So let's keep that in mind. You're not going to see anything flashy. Okay? And there are a lot of skills and techniques that look very, very flashy. And sometimes you're going to find some of it doesn't work, especially in our system. We're not worried about the person who doesn't know anything. We're worried about the person who knows or already has some skill. Okay? So, let's keep that in mind. So, what you're going to see in tendon termination is the only things that I'm going to attack, okay, is not the person. Because the person is not attacking me. Okay? It's the weapon that's attacking me. Okay? Plus, with Kwame being so taller than me, some people want to reach for the head. Well, I can't sacrifice that and come over here and get off my center of gravity. So what I'm going to focus on is whatever's attacking me. The blade is attacking me, but I've also got to take it in the sense of what's holding the blade. Well, the blade is being held by the hand. So I have to take the hand out. So as a quick review, watch my other video on Filipino Educator. From here, Filipino Kali Educator is here, what I'm taking out with my Karambit. If you notice, I don't put my finger in because in a sense, I don't believe in that. And again, you'll see that in my 12 Karambit strikes with a better explanation to why I don't use the ring. But from here, what I'm using is tilting my Karambit in an angle as my angle number 2 in our system. So I'm taking here the bicep. Once I take the bicep out, I go next to the tricep. But notice where I am when I go to the tricep. Once I make this cut from here, this is going to loosen up. This arm will be flailing. because in order for him to bend this way, he's got to use his tricep. In order for him to curve this, he's got to use the bicep. So one of the things I do is I make the cut here towards the bicep, then I make the cut from here. Okay. The next thing is I want to make sure he doesn't come after me. So when this arm is moving around, okay, and has no muscular control, I'm going to go straight to the knee. Once I go straight to the knee, I'm running. I get out of there and I don't want to see it. I want to go home and that is it. Okay? So let's take a look at those strikes again. Just as a quick review, I'm going to the bicep, I'm going to the tricep, and then I'm going back down to the knee. So how does the 3 steps of that footwork work? Well, here's how it goes. Most people will go in and make the attack in this position with that lead. Some people will have this blade hiding in this position where I can't see it. They'll come up or approach me. Okay? And then from there, that's when the blade will come out. Well, just for this basic drill, we're going to take it from here from a number 1 strike. From this number 1 strike, if you notice, this is why I do my number 1. Primary defense is not to be there. My secondary defense is the use of my hand or my weapon, but primary in the system that I teach is to make sure I get out of the way. I've got to make sure I get out of the way. Okay? So there's my first movement. Here's my timing with that strike. Notice what my hand does, what we call our 9th hand. Let's take a look at that again. Once he steps through, parry that. Notice how my body, what we call bladed, because I've got to be careful of this. Notice how I've already made my first step. My second step, in its midst of motion from here, once I make this cut, you see how I switch my foot. I switch my foot so I can go here. Once I see that, there's my cut towards the tricep underneath. Notice where I am in this position. Okay? Because now he can't swing that, and I'm also elbowing him here or checking. Once I do that, I come and I make the cut towards the leg of the tendon. Once I do that, I exit out and go home from there. So, my first 3 movements again, in timing with the Karambit. 1, 2, cut, 3, out. Once again, attack comes, 1, 2, cut. See where my 9th hand is. What I'm doing here is I'm checking it, pulling it, and making the cut at the same time. Once I do that, there's where I go from this position from here. Okay? So making sure that you make this practice of how to move with the Karambit. Let's take a look at it from the other side. From this direction here, first movement from here, he gives me a strike. 1. I make my cut. 1, there's my step. See how I take my hand? Once I take my hand, you'll notice some other things that I do, and this is one of the things that I don't like to use the ring. From here, I can use this as one of my glunting motions. From here, then I make my cut. Once I make the cut, I make my checking from here, my elbow from here, and then get out, make my cut towards the knee. Okay? Let's take that look again. So, I'm here, 1, make the cut. Notice how I am from here. I'm already exiting towards the side. 1, from here, 2, tricep. Once from here, I go down, 3, exit out, and I'm out. Alright? Let's take a look at it from this point of view, from my back. So that way you can focus on my footwork. So, number 1, strike comes, I step. There's my strike. See my Karambit from here. 1 from here, get out the way. 1, 2. Here's my 2. As I make my 2, check the hand, make the cut. Once I make the cut, there's my hand to make the check. Body's bladed, so I don't give him anything to swing back on. But remember, a lot of people might say, well, he's getting ready to swing this back. Remember what I've already done. I've cut the bicep, I've cut the tricep, check them, wham, and then get out of there from there. Okay? That's just one of the first movements that I teach my students with footwork and Karambit. One of the most important things, again, is the fact that nothing flashy. Okay? He's not attacking me, it's the blade that's attacking me. I've got to take the blade away from the hand. Once I do that, then I'm safe. Angular evasion is important. I don't want to sit here in front of him and play with this the whole entire time. Because remember, in the system that I teach, I am mentally preparing myself against a skilled attacker, not the one who's the average. If it's an average person that has no skill whatsoever, that's easy. but I'm worried about the one who knows how to use that knife. Okay? So, send me any questions that you have to my YouTube, Filipino Kali Educator, and please feel free to make a comment. And if you have a particular question, please let me know. And what most people have been doing, they've been emailing me things that they want to end up seeing. So I respond back that I'll make sure that I will go ahead and create that video just for you, just like I'm doing today. I also want to do a shout out to my boys in Brazil. It's been a while since I trained, my school, Greg Allen, and I have trained the students in Rio de Janeiro. So I want to do a shout out. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. It's one of the shirts, Kambato, and their teacher, Paulo Albuquerque. So I just want to give a shout out to them. Check them out on kambato.org. And from there, guys, send me any questions you have, any comments, and I will feel free to answer them. Till next time, visit again, Filipino Kali Educator.